Another fun night to be a Padre fan. Padres, they are 6-0, and this was maybe their best game of the year, unless I'm just totally being, you know, having recency bias here. But Michael King, you know, just shoves it up the Guardians, you know what. 5 innings. I know it's not 7, but he struck out 11 guys and walked just one. He, I was, I was thinking about this in my head, and I kind of joked about it on Twitter. Like, Logan Allen got a regular baseball today, and Michael King was given a wiffle ball to throw. And not literally, but you get what I'm saying. He was so nasty. That sinker, I mean, just embarrassing Carlos Santana. Whether it was other breaking pitches, this is who Michael King is. And I actually didn't see anyone worried about Michael King after his first start on opening day. So I can't be like, well, for anyone that was worried, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, you saw it tonight. So I'm not saying that. I'm just kind of reconfirming for all of us, really, that it was going to be okay. And sure, just like last start was one start, this is just one start. But I think we can look at the Michael King sample size from last year and be like, all right, yeah, this is who Michael King is. And so definitely not worried about Michael King. Loved to see him bounce back with this performance here tonight. And I'm fine that he went 5 innings. It's early in the season, and he struck out 11 guys. So that's going to increase the pitch count, obviously. He got to 88 pitches, and he'll build up from there. It's very early still in this season. Um, and you obviously it was a good bullpen situation going into tonight. Suarez could have pitched, but the Padres made it a situation where they didn't have to pitch him. And now he can definitely throw tomorrow. And then there's the off day Thursday. But yeah, shout out to the rest of this bullpen. Obviously, I can point to Mike Schilt again. He continues to press pretty much all of the right buttons. I know that there was fans that were not happy that Hayward was pinch hitting for Lockridge in one of those innings in this game, but overall, like, Jake Cronenworth, for example, he pinch hits. He didn't get the start, which I understood. Iglesias got the start. Crony, matchup wise, okay, and Crony pinch hits for I think it was for Iglesias, and comes in, just plays second base, makes a good defensive play, by the way, as well, kind of fadeaway jumping throw. But he comes in with that RBI single to score Jackson Merrill, and that's just another of the examples of Mike Schilt pressing the right buttons, bringing in the right guys, and sometimes he has done it where he hasn't pressed a button, and that ends up working out. So essentially, everything that he's doing seems to be working out right now. And he's one of the best managers in baseball, and I don't want people to take that for granted that we have Mike Schilt as our manager. It was cool to see Omar Cruz get into this game. It's good that he's alive. Didn't know if he was alive or not. He hadn't pitched yet, and I thought that there were at least one situation so far that they could have gotten Cruz into a game, but they decided to today, and he pitches an inning, 13 pitches, picks up a strikeout on the first batter that he faced, and Bogey did a good job there for that final out. So all around, very encouraging. And, talking about this offense, Tatis, sure, he didn't get a hit, but he's still very impactful. He got on a couple of times, actually 3 times, because there was 2 walks, and then he got on with a force out, I believe. But a couple of RBIs for him, including sac flies, a couple of sac flies. And Merrill hitting his on that breaking ball, he sat on that thing. That thing was going at him, but he knew that thing was going to curve back, and he mashed that for his first homer of the year. That was good to see. What I really wanted to highlight was, I want to say that was what inning was that? The 5th inning, where the Padres scored a couple of runs. That was just Padres Mike Schilt team baseball. Iglesias singles to start the inning. Then he gets to second base on the wild pitch. Lockridge walks. Elias Diaz at the bottom of the order. He knows that now maybe he was told to do this, probably was, but still, whether it's him or it's the coaching staff knowing like, okay, this is our 9-hitter tonight. Up at the plate, we got Tatis coming up next. First and second. Let's get this bunt down, try it, so we can get second and third with Tatis up the plate and 1 out. That's a great situation. We'd rather have that than possibly a runner on third with 2 outs if Diaz grunts into a double play. So let's do that. Credit to Diaz for getting that sac bunt down. Tatis comes up, doesn't do like the big damage, but he does his job still, brings in a run. That's part of doing his job in that situation. You don't have to be the hero all the time, but in that situation, just driving a run, that's what he does. Makes it 2-0. And then so now there's 2 outs in the inning, which is still fine with Luis Ariz coming up to the plate. I know he had a slow start to the year, like 0 for 16, I think it was to start. Got a hit last night before getting thrown out at second base. He was thrown out again at second base today. But he singles, just classic Luis Ariz, takes the ball the other way. Love that. Makes it 3-0. And then Manny singles. Or that's when Ariz was thrown out to end the inning. So that wasn't great. But before that, leading up to that, Iglesias with the single, taking second base. I I loved Iglesias, like his just the base running tonight. On that wild pitch, there was no shot that Bo Naylor was going to throw him out because Iglesias had a really good read on where that ball was going to go. The ball was getting away, and yes, I'm going to go take second base. You have no shot of getting me. And then Lockridge working the walk. Again, Diaz, good call by the coaching staff or whoever made that decision because you got a couple of guys on now with 1 out for the top of your order. That's a favorable situation. And the Padres capitalized on that, got a couple of runs in that inning. Obviously, that's all that they would need. Really, all they needed was the Merrill homer. But also, what was big was Jason Adam, bases loaded. Weird line for Yuki. Has strikeout, walk, go to Adam. He hits a guy, but then comes through with Stephen Kwan. Like, he's the Guardians and the AL version of Luis Ariz. Strikes out Stephen Kwan to end that inning. And Padres are up 4-0 at that point. So the game tying run was Stephen Kwan up at the plate with Jose Ramirez on deck. That's a scary situation. But Jason Adam, and I don't think this is talked about enough. Obviously, King and Cease and Ariz, guys being free agent, Suarez. Jason Adam will be, I believe, as well. So that would be nice to get an extension done with him if you can't with somebody else. I love Jason Adam as a Padre. He is the guy that I am most confident in that Padres bullpen. Estrada's up there, Suarez too, but there's something different with Jason Adam for me. He's that guy. So that was awesome to see him get that strikeout. And then after that, for the Padres to pile it on so that they didn't have to use Suarez and that they could go to Omar Cruz and give Omar Cruz that moment to close out that game, get his first strikeout. Love it. So just overall, a fun night again watching this Padres team. 6-0. What's the Dodgers score? They're at 3-1, so they could end up still being undefeated. But who's going to lose first? Who knows? Should we even be paying attention to the Dodgers right now? No, because it's April 1st. But just if we're going to focus on the Padres and the record that they have being 6-0, those are 6 wins that you cannot take away from this Padres team. So when they do struggle at some point, or when there are injuries, when something happens, they face a tough road trip or whatever, and let's say they don't have a great road trip, well, you can't take away these 6 wins. So if they are, 12 games over 500, let's say by the end of this month, and then they play 500 the rest of the way, that's a playoff team. So all of these wins, they certainly count. They're big. And oh, by the way, these are 6 consecutive wins against teams that made the postseason last year. I know the Braves are different and there's injuries and the Guardians are different, but it's still impressive. It's a lot of guys. I mean, look at the box score today. Gurriel went 0 for 3. I would have went with Gavin Sheets, but I get it. It's early in the season. You still want to do the platoons. But if this was June and Gavin Sheets is swinging the hot bat, Yuli Gurriel is not getting in that lineup if I'm the manager. But Mike Schilt, he's one of the best managers in baseball, so I shouldn't be questioning him too much. Schilt's probably like, shut up, Ben. I'm doing this for a reason. I'm the manager. But, overall, I mean, Schilt's been great this year. But, I mean, look at this box score. Tatis, sure, he didn't get a hit, but scored a run, drove in a couple of runs, got on base a few times. Ariz got a hit, drove in a run. Manny, a couple of hits, scored a run. Bogey got a hit, drove in a run. Merrill drove in a run with the homer, scored a couple of times. Iglesias scored a run. Crony, couple of hits, scored a run, drove in a run. Lockridge scored a run. Hayward even got a hit. And then Diaz, sure, he went 0 for 3, but let's see about the impact that he had. That sack bunt that he had that got the runners over, and then there was the sack fly that scored a run, runner on third from that sack bunt from Diaz, and then the inning continued, runner on second, got on third from the sack bunt instead of being on second, or excuse me, got on second base from the sac bunt instead of being at first base, and that allowed Arise to bring that runner in later in the inning. So, yeah, fun night. That's what I've got right now on this reaction. Seemed like there was a pretty good crowd. What was the attendance tonight at Petco? 37,000 on a Tuesday night. Pretty quick game again, 2.5 hours. It was pretty close to 2.5 hours yesterday as well. So, yeah, couldn't ask for a better start to this season. And a big encouraging thing is Michael King, he is back.